Hey, welcome back to Vox Terra, hosted by me, Matt, and me, Rusty. Our show's purpose is to help get people to focus on the long term survival of our species and make that their political priority instead of banging their fists about these hot button social issues. And part of that today is to cut past some of this disinformation about environmental groups being part of conspiracies, which I think is maybe put out by the Koch brothers. So, are we going to be listening on any conversations or have any guests on today's show? Why, yes, Rusty. We're going to have a conversation between our own Benny, former Republican activist turned environmentalist, and his old pal from those days, Militia Mike. Well, that'll be interesting and kind of scary. Yes, Benny is upset with Militia Mike. Well, why is he upset with him? You might have heard, Rusty, in the news not too long ago in Oregon, the Democrats were all set to pass a bill that would cut back on heat trapping gases or greenhouse gases. And remember, which are emitted largely by the burning of fossil fuels and the use of petrochemicals. And remember that even if one does not believe that dumping billions of tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere each year can actually affect the atmosphere and the oceans, burning fossil fuels, refining oil and gas produces volumes of toxic waste. So cutting back on them is still a winner. Well, that's a great point, Matt. It's a win-win. We need less pollution no matter how you look at it. Thank you, Rusty. But then the Republicans fled the state in order that the bill could not get passed. The Democratic governor reportedly threatened to have them arrested, and then it was reported that some militias made threats defending the Republicans who fled the state, therefore helping ensure that more fossil fuels get added to the atmosphere. Well, Rusty, what do you say we go listen in on Benny and old Mike now? Oh, let's do that. That'd be swell.
Why, it's Benny, my old friend Benny, former Republican activist. I hear now you're with Vox Terra trying to promote protecting the environment.
That's right, Militia Mike, I am.
And so are you here today, though, on their behalf, or to bring me the shipment we were talking about?
No, Mike, I'm not interested in the shipments right now. I'm rather upset with you fellas in the militias.
Now, why would that be, Benny?
Because, Mike, it sounds to me, from what I heard, that you fellas were out there opposing them Democrats who were trying to get some type of greenhouse reduction plan out in Oregon called a cap and trade. Now, they were just trying to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases we're all putting out here. And I'm unhappy that I heard you fellows were making some kind of threats about that situation.
Benny, now you know how it is. We're defending freedom. Now, these here environmental groups, you must know, Benny, you're a good feller, but maybe you got brainwashed, Benny. They're part of a big government conspiracy.
Whoa, wait a minute, Mike. And now, even when I was a Republican activist back in the old days under Reagan, I wasn't thinking that way, Mike. Let me tell you something. What the media is leaving out is the environmental groups, why they opposed a lot of these big here massive trade deals. Now, I thought fellows like you are thinking these big trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and NAFTA, that's part of undermining national sovereignty.
Many of us do feel that way, Benny. We don't care for these big trade agreements.
Well, Mike, what they're not telling you is the environmental group's been opposing them too. Why, look right here on the Sierra Club. Here's one of their articles from a ways back saying they opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Well, if they're part of big government, what are they opposing these trade deals for then?
A lot of the environmental groups feel like NAFTA and the TPP, they undermine the country's ability to protect the environment. It becomes what we call a race to the bottom. Who's got the weakest environmental regulations gets the business.
Well, nobody was telling me about that part, that you fellers were out there opposing these here trade deals. What else you got for me, Benny?
Well, Mike, I hear you fellows are awful concerned about the government grabbing land from private owners.
That is a concern, the land grabs.
Well, Mike, if you knew about it, which again the media is not telling you, they only seem to publicize where the government's taking land for a wilderness set aside, but there's an awful lot of what they call eminent domain where they're taking land away from people so they can build oil and gas pipelines on behalf of private industries. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't seen you militia fellers out there trying to stop them oil and gas pipelines when the government's coming in and taking people's land away from them to build them. Why, look, here's a Sierra Club article again showing how they were standing up to stop some oil and gas pipelines.
So you're saying the government also does eminent domain and land grabs to promote oil and gas industry?
That is what I'm saying, Mike.
Benny, why is it that I'm not hearing about this? Environmental groups are standing up to land grabs and standing against some of these big trade agreements.
Well, Mike, there's someone called the Koch brothers, and there's a lot of money in oil and gas, Mike. I'm sure you must know that. And they fund a lot of this propaganda against environmental groups. Right here on this article from a website called Media Matters, says Koch funded groups mount PR and media campaign to fight carbon pricing. Now, we hear about them a lot also on a website called Desmog, but they're pretty infamous in the paying for anti-environmental propaganda. And Mike, just one more thing here.
What's that, Benny?
I remember some years back, the Koch brothers funded a movement or elements within a movement called the Tea Party, when they were trying to get the Tea Party to stand up and stop a national greenhouse gas reduction plan called Cap and Trade, and they had success in doing that.
I remember that, Benny.
So, Mike, what my concern is that I'd like you to check your books and make sure you're not getting funded by the fossil fuel interests or the Koch brothers. Because if you are, it could cloud your judgment. And you gotta think now, are you acting out of true belief or are you acting out of what you want to believe?
Benny, I'll have to have Gladys check the books on that.
All right, Mike, it was good seeing you again.
Thank you, Benny. You too.
Well, thanks a lot, fellers, for being on the show. They sure had a civil chat. Yes, they did. So in sum, remember, environmental groups, while they are often accused of being, falsely accused in my opinion, of being part of some big nefarious conspiracy, the heart of this is we just want less pollution. And environmental organizations, many of them stood up to the first incarnation of NAFTA. The Sierra Club is currently opposing NAFTA again now. And they stood up against the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and that was under Obama. They also stand up to government eminent domain or land grabs to take away people's private property to build oil and gas pipelines. So they're not part of a big conspiracy, okay? They oppose big government and business where it's appropriate to do so. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope we found some common ground. I hope you found some good environmental talking points that you can use when you go out there in the world, in a world where the media underreports all this. And until next time, please subscribe, like, click the notification button so you can get notified when we put up a new video, comment, and most importantly, peace be with you. Peace be with you.